Gotta figure out how to start this video. Hey guys, and welcome. That's not it. Hey guys, it's me. It's your boy Ass. No, that ain't gonna work either. Hey, it's your boy. That's fucking stupid. How do they do it?
Hey all you cool cats and kittens, Carol Baskin here.
Son, I think it's time we had a talk. And no, I'm not talking about what happens when your dick gets hard when you see your Aunt Carol. I'm talking about what sniper you should be using when you're playing Warzone with the boys. A lot of people are doing the wrong things, and I think I have an idea what the correct thing is, and I'd like to tell you today. Well, you made it this far, and I guess since you're here, we might as well talk about what you're actually here for. And if you're like me, you've been thinking for a while what sniper would be the right one to use during Warzone. You don't want to be selling yourself short on range or, mobility. You don't want to be selling yourself short on utility and, how versatile a weapon can be, because if any of those things are mismatched, you can be at the receiving end of dying. And that's not always a cool thing to have happen to you, especially if you're playing with a team full of dudes who don't have $4,500 on them, which is, pretty often. Anyway, we're going to talk about the HDR versus the AX50. There's a few other options in there that could, work for specific people, but I think the HDR and the AX50 are the two comparable ones and the most used, mainly because there's only a few anyway. Now, when we talk about the guns, we're going to talk about the AX50 first, and when we're talking about the AX50, it's pretty simple to see the stats bars, but these stat bars literally don't tell you a goddamn thing about these guns. Those numbers you might as well just throw out the window. They're not even numbers, they're just bars with fucking green lines and red lines telling you which effect you're having on the weapon. The only story that these things actually tell is that these guns are used for some sort of at-range combat. Now, I would be remiss if I told you that the HDR and the AX50 are the same gun, because they're not. Clearly they're not. They're never going to be, and they shouldn't be, because that would just be pointless to have two guns do the exact same thing. The AX50 is faster, got a little bit more power at effective ranges, but that effective range is what gets this gun into a lot of trouble. This video is going to be pretty short because there's not really a whole lot to talk to. It's just really kind of a demonstration of what inconsistencies certain guns have and which one I think is better. So what you'll see out of me is I have both guns kitted pretty much for max range and max stability. A lot of your engagements in this game are going to be close to medium range, but at further ranges, that's definitely when you want these snipers to shine. Being able to drop somebody in the distance before you can tell your team to hit a push definitely makes a big difference in how that fight's going to turn out, especially if you had, the time it takes to put plates in, time it takes for the revive, time it takes for them to locate you on your way in, especially if you can get the one tap. If you don't miss that first shot, that's a real big thing, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about, is the differences that I at least feel between these two weapons, and how often I find myself going, huh? Because it happens a lot with the AX50. This gun, for some reason, has some sort of inconsistency and bullet deviation that I have no fucking clue what's going on with it. I just don't. Can't figure it out. I can't figure out how to correct it. Nothing seems to work. Obviously I can hit shots with it. There's some times where I feel like the gun's not hitting the shot it should be hitting. I also feel the bullet drop is far too much, especially when you compare it to something like the Kar98. Kar98's a marksman rifle with a smaller round, and somehow the bullet drops way further out range than the AX50 does. Much more accurate too. If you're not sniping at like these huge ranges, a lot of the times the AX50 is definitely going to be your better option, especially if it's more what you're more comfortable with, and a lot of that I think has to do with it. I have gold in both guns, I put my time in with both guns, I know both guns inside and out. It's just, I feel like in a battle royale game specifically, especially when it pertains to Warzone, when things can happen very quickly, I feel like working smarter, not harder, definitely applies, and not having to really think about what's going on is definitely a big advantage. When we talk about the AX50, you have to account for the bullet drop. You have to account for the bullet deviation. You have to account for the gun being the way that it is. A lot of weapon sway and everything like that. When you get to the HDR, it is meant for those long range engagements. And I find myself on a whim just snapping shots, or I don't really have to think about the distance too much. I can kind of just aim at their heads. And that makes a huge difference on my ability to have my team push, have my ability to wipe a guy at range, have the ability to hit that first shot. And that also goes without saying that the AX50 definitely has the advantages in versatility, I would say. You can definitely kit that weapon to deal with more close range engagements and much more quick engagements as far as sniping is concerned. But as it pertains to Warzone with the way armor is, you're not trying to quickscope anybody because with that shot to upper body to head, unless you're hitting the head dead on, most often you're not actually going to get that headshot. And it's not worth it. It's not worth trying to quickscope in Warzone. It's just gambling at that point. So you're going to be using a slower gun. You're going to make the AX50 slower. And when you kit the weapons, the AX50 and the HDR, for max range, max stability, the HDR actually ends up with a faster ADS speed. And, you know, if that's your thing, then you'd be better off with the HDR. The HDR is slower. It has a slower rechambering from taking each shot. It has a slower reload speed. It is less mobile than the AX50. However, if you're running with your sniper out, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You need to be running with your primary, whether it's the MP7, M4, all those guns that people are using right now, in order to cover the distances that you need to cover. Amp's a huge thing. I would definitely run that on your classes just to make sure that you're good. But this gun is far and beyond so much better than what the AX50 is actually capable of being as a sniper rifle. When you're talking about regular Call of Duty, regular multiplayer, the whole thing changes. We're not going to talk about that right now. But as it pertains to Warzone, if you're not using the HDR, you're handicapping yourself. There's nothing the HDR can't do that the AX50 can. So if you're trying to quickscope, that's the AX50. But it's stupid. You shouldn't be doing it. If you're trying to be a sniper, if you're trying to get those long range downs, or down in order to make the push, the HDR is going to be doing it way more consistently than the X50 ever could. And that is the game changer when it comes to an actual piece of weaponry. So there you have it. My personal opinion would be the HDR, and anybody who disagrees with me is just wrong, and I think Carol Baskin killed her husband. Thank you.
Said with Mrs. Lady, I don't understand why she hit him like